All right.
There you
Good
go.
evening. Welcome to this work session of the combined steering committee and the planning board for the continuation of the Ardsley comprehensive plan. Tonight's meeting is really about bringing together the steering committee, which did so much work on this, and our planning board, which is going to help implement this on a going forward basis. So I'd like to start off by telling everyone a big thank you, a big shout out to our steering committee who started over 3 years ago, working very hard with Pat Cleary and meeting multiple nights, putting together lots of good ideas. We have with us tonight the chairman of our planning board. Do we have any other members of our planning board with us tonight? Oh, Susan Jankel is here with us tonight. Bob Pellegrino is the chairman of our planning board. Anybody else on the planning board? Alton, Paul, Bernie? Okay, maybe they couldn't make it. But where we are tonight is miraculously, before we all got on, I said, this was a stage in the ending of the comprehensive planning process where we said we were going to have this exact meeting, this exact week. And truly, that's the only thing that's ever been on time for this entire process. So I'm happy that we're here and I'm happy that we're moving forward. And what we have here tonight is you'll meet representatives from Pace University. You'll meet Kevin Dwarka, who is our LWRP consultant. It's a combination and it's a taking of all the work that the steering committee did for all those many years. And I know for all of you that were on that steering committee, it seems so long ago, but after Pat sort of ended his work here, the product that was given to us was then turned over to Pace University, who has taken that product and they've really integrated all the ideas that were presented and they've digested them and they've refined them in what we think is going to be the ultimate very long-term vision for the village. And then we're going to, of course, the next step after that is the implementation plan. But in the intervening months, we also undertook several other steps. And one of them was to include, and it was very timely, in the comprehensive planning process, the creating a local waterfront revitalization plan, which is the LWRP. And Kevin Dwarka, who is with us tonight, helped advise us on that. That's going to be incorporated ultimately into the comprehensive plan. We also, as part of the whole plan, retained Comeau & Associates, who provided a detailed plan for economic development for the village. So all of these pieces, along with the pieces that were the backbone and the development and the topics that were discussed by the steering committee, are all going to come together and ultimately be the part of the comprehensive plan, which will be the vision for the future of the village going forward. I saw a sign today as I was driving from Brooklyn at 6:30 this morning, don't ask me why, and it said, honor your past and envision your future. Now, I actually thought that was kind of a good logo for our 125th anniversary, but I think that what we needed to do in a comprehensive plan, and I think what you'll all see going forward is an honoring of our past, but a real, envisioning our future, and that's where we want it to be. So what you're going to see tonight is going to be where we are in the planning process. After tonight, the planning board and the steering committee will get the draft documents. The Comeau report and the LWRP report will be appendices to the whole of the comprehensive plan. And you'll get drafts of these documents to review. And we're going to have a process whereby you'll be able to ask questions and provide input on those draft documents. So Meredith, am I missing anything else at this point?
I think you hit the high points.
All right, so at this point, I'm going to turn over the meeting to
It'll be
Tiffany
me. Yeah.
Zazula. I hope to pronounce your name right. And she is with the Pace Youth Land Law Center, who has helped us bring all of the pieces from the work done with Pat Cleary and the steering committee into a refined document that we view will be the vision of the village going forward. So take it away, Tiffany.
Well, Mayor, I honestly, at this point, I feel like you did it all. Yeah, you took away my presentation. But so what I wanted to do this evening, well, first of all, welcome everyone. My name is Tiffany Zazula, for those of you that don't know me. I'm joined by Jessica Basher, who can wave her, yep, Meg Byerly, also with the Land Use Law Center. And of course, Kevin Dwarka. We all work at the Land Use Law Center, or consultants with the Land Use Law Center. We're located at Pace Law School. And again, for those of you that don't know us, we provide technical assistance and training across the Hudson Valley region regarding everyone's favorite topic, land use. So what I was gonna do tonight, and maybe if it would be okay with everyone, just because I think this is the Zoom factor, it's hard to, I definitely know the village board members, but if the other people on today's Zoom could just quickly say who they are and if they served on a board. I saw some of the planning board members that the mayor pointed out, and who served maybe on the comprehensive plan committee, that would be great. So I see Lisa's iPad was actually, I think, the planning board chairman.
Yes, it is.
Filipino.
Yep.
Right.
Nice to meet you. And then Susan, I think you're on the planning board as well.
Correct.
Great. And Wendy?
I was on the steering committee, planning committee thing.
Perfect.
Years
Steve.
ago.
And I think I know Lorraine, Linda.
Yeah, Linda Kyle, 45-year resident and a president of the garden club.
Great,
And
thanks.
on the steering committee as well.
Great, thanks, Linda. And Peter?
Yeah, hi. I'm a 44-year resident and also happen to be president of the Ardsley Historical Society, and I'm a member of the steering committee.
Thanks, thank you. And then I see Matthew Gonzalez.
I am on the library board, and I am a member of the Multicultural Diversity and Inclusion Committee.
Awesome, wonderful. Well, thank you all again for joining. I'm going to share my screen right now, and hopefully everyone can see this. And then let me just, once the Zoom thing goes away, I'll be able to, let's see, move. Just trying to get it from the beginning.
I think Larry Tomaso's on also.
Oh, welcome, Larry. I am just trying to show you my, I can't move the Zoom toolbar. Hold on one second. There we go. Okay. So hold on, there we go. So hopefully, again, everyone can see my screen, but I wanted to just sort of walk everyone through what we've accomplished and a little bit of what the mayor has already gone through. So first off, thank you again to the Comprehensive Plan Committee and the Village Board as well. It's been all the work that you guys have done has been fantastic. And essentially, as the mayor said, what our group did was simply organize the work product and the work that was there. We possibly zhuzhed it a little in terms of some of the best practices in planning to date. And then the important task was, given the opportunity of the two planning studies that happened, integrating those planning studies and ensuring, most importantly, that the goals were reflective of the strategies that were in those documents. Because as many of you know, we need to have, if we're going to make any types of regulatory changes or changes in land use, we need it to be in conformance with the comprehensive plan. And so ensuring that those studies are some way within this comp plan became very important. And so that was one of our big pieces of work. For those of you, again, that are seeing this for the first time, we were looking at the American Planning Association's essentially their best practice guidelines regarding comprehensive plan. It incorporates the environment, of course, equity and economics, and also falls into themed categories. Here, the APA shows themed categories of livable built environment, harmony with nature, and so on and so forth. What are the newest models of comprehensive planning? And I think what the Village Board has now in front of them is essentially a very succinct and user-friendly plan. We want your plan, the Village of Ardsley's, just like everyone else's plan in the Hudson Valley, we want it to be used. We want it to be implemented. We want people to pick it off the shelf and actually read the document and understand what the village's vision for itself is. And essentially the document, I think, is now looking and its effort is to focus on the village's most pressing and relevant issues. And so that's what you are going to be seeing. One of the other things with the comprehensive plan is that, we have always seen in previous comprehensive plans or older versions of comprehensive plans that maybe you've looked at, that everything in land use became very siloed. We had housing chapters and we had chapters on transportation. And yet, as many of us know, especially on this call, these areas in land use are interrelated. And so this comprehensive plan takes, again, that APA model. It takes this idea of breaking down the silos of land use and integrating them into these larger themes and showing that interrelatedness by topics and by conditions in Ardsley. And so hopefully you see the linkages between traditional topic areas now within these themes. Ardsley had decided, and we had looked at, again, and I think the Village Board is familiar with some major themed areas. So similar to the APA, but now tailored to the Village of Ardsley, the themes of Ardsley's comprehensive plan became build, protect, strengthen, connect, and provide. Now, I know someone from my Village Board is probably looking at this and says, wait, Tiffany, there was a sixth theme last time you gave this presentation. And that's true, but that sixth chapter of sustain is now gone. There's a reason. The content was not lost, I promise you that. But the theme, when the sawmill revitalization plan was reviewed and looked at and began to become merged into your comprehensive plan, we really discussed the challenge as a team of having two separate chapters on sustain, or themes on sustain and protect. And as we were reviewing all these drafts and all these plans and looking at the coherence of, like, again, the policy themes, looking at redundancy and policy themes, and deciding that level of fitness between policy themes and goals and actions, those actions began to it was hard for us to then split them apart between these two themed areas. The overlap was challenging and confusing, and it began to point to common resource areas that we just felt would be better suited in a protect theme. And so that is why you are seeing sustain sort of eliminated. Again, all of the content of sustain, though, is now into that theme area of protect. So again, for those of you who are seeing some of this for the first time, and you do not need to read all of this, but I did try to bullet out a few points here, or bold a few points here. The comprehensive themes are build. Build essentially does identify and it looks to strengthen the village's land use and physical features. It's a section that is all about preserving the village's unique residential neighborhoods and creating dynamic commercial areas. And of course, again, I'm not reading everything, but protecting its historic and cultural resources and transforming your public realm. So all these different things fits within that theme chapter. The theme of provide is ensuring the village's fiscal health. It supports public benefits. It starts to look at parks and recreational spaces, municipal services. It talks about maintaining your economic health, supporting public health initiatives, and maintaining high quality educational opportunities, okay? So that's what you'll see within the theme of provide. Connect is where you're facilitating, of course, multimodal travel. You're looking at supporting alternative modes of travel, better connected sidewalks and trail systems, looking at safe ways for pedestrians to commute. This theme talks about walkability and access to transit and increased parking access and all increased road safety. So all things, and then that relationship to your central business district. And you, again, seeing the connections between your economics and your connection to transportation. Strengthen is about the economic health of Ardsley and begins to focus on ways to support local businesses, revitalize problem properties, activating your village assets, all things that contribute to basically economic development, your central business district, development of and relationships and your business organizations, and all your village resources that are dedicated to supporting your local businesses. And then protect aims to preserve, of course, the natural resources in Ardsley. In this themed area, you have the ideas about facilitating sustainable practices, promoting conservation, looking at reduced stormwater runoff, natural disaster risks, keeping pedestrians and buildings cool, saving water, looking at your vehicle miles traveled, all really important goals that the village is striving for. So we took, again, the work of that comprehensive plan committee and the work of Pat Cleary and put it within these themed buckets. And we're able to then describe these themes based on what some of what you all had been working on and what you had decided. Two other projects that I just want to mention and stress again, and you're going to now see in the following slides. Two plans that were accomplished and became important to integrate within the comprehensive plan became essentially an opportunity. Most communities obviously work on planning initiatives and they fall outside of the comprehensive plan and they sit on the shelf right next to the comprehensive plan, and sometimes nobody opens up anything. We took these important studies, the Sawmill Revitalization, River Revitalization Plan, and the Market Analysis and Development Strategy developed by Camoan, and took those strategies and ensured, again, that they were not only put within your comprehensive plan and didn't stand alone, but instead, again, came forward into your comp plan. In the next few slides, you're gonna see check marks. Those check marks are both in green and in blue, and that'll show you goal areas that essentially, you know, integrated these thoughts of these two planning documents within them. Another thing just to review, because you don't have it all right now, all pretty and looking good. The outline of your comprehensive plan will look like this. It'll be an introduction and roadmap of the plan, which we will deliver next week to you. It'll be a narrative of essentially the presentation I'm giving you. What did we rely upon? What did we look at? Why these theme areas, and what do these theme areas mean? Each theme area, build, provide, protect, and connect, I'm going to go into what they'll look like individually, but those will be the different sections of your comp plan. And then your appendix will involve the implementation matrix of all the variety of actions that you are considering, the market analysis development strategy, the Sawmill Revitalization Plan, and then any of the public engagement tools and notes that are taken both previously, and then also as we move to this virtual format, the virtual type survey and notes that we received from that. So under each theme area of build, protect, and provide, each theme area, as the village board is seeing, has a section on existing conditions. Again, we took the work that had previously been done and just sort of clarified and made it a little bit more succinct and easy to read. But that is, you know, your overview of the existing conditions in Ardsley. There then is a section called the Vision of Ardsley 2030 that begins to showcase what it is that Ardsley is hoping to do within that theme area. There is the goals, And then there's objective statements. They're narrative in narrative format under each goal area. That brings us, again, starts to highlight some of the actions that you're considering and gets a little bit more specific to how you're going to accomplish that goal area. So I did not want to scroll through what I provided in a Word document. So tonight what I just did was I took, for the PowerPoint, I just took out of each theme the goals. And then you'll see next to some of these goals in the first one, actually check marks where the Camoans work was sort of inscribed into some of these goals. So I'm going to give you just a minute to sort of look at them. We don't have to talk too much, but these are some of the goal areas in Build. And I'm going to keep going. I'm happy to flip back to different screens because I know some of you are looking at this for the first time. The village board, again, these aren't new goals by any means. These are the same goals. Even the, comp plan committee, these are the same goals that they were. If anything, we might have tweaked a little bit of language, but instead we just ensured that they were in the right bucket under Build. And there's still even been in the past moment, because of the 2 other studies, we did move some of the goal areas around that we thought they made better sense in different themes. So Connect has the following goals. Again, many of them, you should be familiar with these goals. And you'll see some check marks regarding where a variety of the actions from the Camoan report will fall under.
If we have a question, are we to ask them now or later?
Is it okay if we just do it a little bit later and I'll finish through this and then I'll flip back to slides as questions come up, for sure. Thanks, Linda.
Okay.
Here's provide. And again, I think I should reiterate what the mayor said, that you, sounds like the planning board and comp plan committee members, everybody will get a copy of this to see, because again, these are just the goal areas. I don't know why the first one's bolded, but it is. You'll see green check marks now coming into play under protect, where the sawmill revitalization plans actions will be falling under. Strengthen. Again, I can always go back if people want to read this more slowly, but I just want to sort of showcase a couple of other things.
Well, this is to show everybody what they will be receiving.
Yep.
So that they know what they're looking at once they receive the package.
Correct.
With all of the reports and these areas.
Correct. Absolutely. Thanks, Nancy. And then finally, let me just then orient you to a different part, is each of the goal areas. So you'll see one of the goal areas under protect here. I took this as an example. We'll have a narrative underneath it. And that narrative has a few sentences, again, that begins to highlight what we mean, how we're going to accomplish that goal, and begins to pull upon some of the actions that you had looked at and considered, and pulls them into this narrative here. And so these are your objectives. Again, this is one goal area and then a narrative on the objectives. And each goal area that you look at will have the same format, okay? And finally, and nobody has received this, this is where all the actions are. So this is where we need to take, where we have been working on, taking the Camoan report, taking that sawmill revitalization plan, and now putting that within those actions within specific goals. And so with each goal, you will have proposed actions that are here. And again, these are very familiar to you. These are not, many of them are things that you guys were all looking at and reviewing at the time that we received the document. And then you will see, though, new actions and new strategies because of the 2 other reports that were created. And so those actions and strategies are now incorporated within those goal areas that had check marks. And so it's those again, you've vetted already through that Sawmill revitalization plan, you vetted through the Camoan. We just essentially stole that and took that and put that into now the right goal areas so you knew where they fit. And so this matrix will become your implementation action plan. And we're now in the process, and hopefully by next week even, we'll have this matrix to all of you where it's taken everything and put it within the specific goal areas. So in the next week, you should you'll have the overview, again, that chapter, introduction chapter, and then you'll have this implementation matrix that will be on its way to being reviewed by all of you. I want to just say one more thing, and then I'm happy we can all answer questions. One of the next steps here is not only having everyone review what we have done and where we've sort of slotted everything, but is to showcase the draft documents to your public. And more, again, introduce this more formally to the community. I know some residents are on potentially now, but we would like to create a video, or maybe tonight is a great way of introducing people to the very beginnings of their comprehensive plan, and then create some type of survey for people to participate. Do those goal areas seem right to the public? Are they good visions for the next 10 years for the public? Are there still things that we might be missing that we should incorporate, quite frankly, as a goal in the comp plan? And so posting some type of survey, whether that be by a themed area or all together, I'm going to work on that because I don't want it to be too overwhelming for people to take. I want it to be quick and easy. But can people review these documents, take a chance at taking that survey, giving us some public feedback, and then we can begin to make any adjustments that are necessary. So I would look at October as sort of the month of engagement, and then we will refine. And then in November, you would be going through graphic layout and design and the secret process, so that you are on schedule for your completed comprehensive plan. So I think that's it, unless any of my teammates think that I have forgotten something that's critical, or Meredith or Mayor. I do have our email addresses here if you would like to email us. But we're always happy to talk to people. So on that note, I'll turn it back to the mayor or to Meredith.
Okay, again, all right, I'm sorry.
No, it's just, I didn't know how you would want to facilitate any of the next steps here.
Okay, I just wanted to remind people that this was a very broad summary of what they will be getting to review. The 3 pieces of this document are what you saw were the sections for the build and the protect. Those are much more detailed documents that you'll be getting in the Camoan report and the Sawmill revitalization reports that will be appendices to those. So what you saw tonight was a very broad overview of all of the pieces that are going to be brought together for everyone to review and to give questions and comments on. And then, like Tiffany said, this is going to have a whole public aspect to it, where the public is going to see what you are all going to be seeing and have comments and questions on it. And I know what's the one comment is going to be, did we incorporate the parking garage behind Starbucks into the plan? Because that seems to be like a big topic. And the answer to that question is, I believe, yes, it's in there. It's talking about the need for parking in the plan. You'll see all those things in the pieces when you get them. So I don't want you to look at what you're seeing tonight and think that it's a summary like this. It's a much more detailed document that you'll see going forward. And of course, the implementation plan is the really meat and potatoes of all of this. So this is the vision plan, and then it's the implementation plan. You know, there's parts of the implementation plan that I believe I'll be long dead before they come into fruition, but you have to have a plan, to have a vision to move forward. And that's, you know, that's what we're working on here. Joining us here, I see Alton is with us. He joined in, you weren't here. Alton is also on our planning board. Michael Wiskin is with us. He is chairman of our zoning board. So I just wanted to introduce two people that I noticed that had just come on. So,
Mayor,
yes,
I'm sorry to interrupt. Before you go on to the next step, if I could just reiterate, you've said it, Tiffany said it, I maybe just say it a little bit different way. And that is that the work that Pat Cleary did with the steering committee 3 years ago has not been lost. It has been reconfigured and provided to everyone in a different format. So, you know, when PACE came in, they didn't start from scratch and decide what to go ahead and take a look at. They used all of that work. And what you're seeing now is a new version of that work. And the LWRP is new, but also took into account the work that was done. And the Camoin report was, you know, a little bit different because it focused on the economics, but also with the awareness of what happened before.
right. I mean, the steering, the basis of this entire thing is the work that was done by the steering committee. Nobody did any new work except for the Camoin report and the LWRP, which were parts of this that as we were going through this process, it was, you know, in talking to PACE and talking to the village manager, we felt it was important to bring those pieces in at this point in time, rather than going through this process and then doing an LWRP and then doing an economic report, so that we could have all these pieces brought in together. But the underlying basis of this entire document is the work that was done by the steering committee many years ago. I know, it was 3 years. It was over 3 years ago that the steering committee started, and there was a big long lapse in time, and we needed to get it up and running and revitalized. And I think it's a revitalized plan and a revitalized village. That's what we're aiming for. So if anybody has any questions now, I think we have time for questions. Linda, you had a question?
Well, there was one part there where it said that there was going to be development along the frontage opposite one of the shopping centers up on 9A. And I'm thinking, where would they develop something along the frontage opposite the?
I think one of the concepts, and Tiffany, you can correct me if I'm wrong, is that if you look at the developments that are on the malls, you know, up on 9A, the developments are in the back and the parking is in the front. And there's plans and thought processes about bringing development more to the front and putting the parking in the back. Am I correct in that? Is that what that was referring to? And it's a different vision of how maybe those malls could look if we had the opportunity to do something there.
I didn't realize there's any room behind those buildings more than just.
Well, I think the objective is that those buildings wouldn't be there. Everything would be moved forward.
Oh, oh yeah.
A vision, you have to have a vision.
Vision. Okay, so yeah, this is.
Nancy?
Yes. Who's speaking?
Yeah, when will we be receiving the draft documents?
Meredith, are you going to send them out
Tomorrow.
tomorrow?
Yes.
Fantastic.
Tomorrow. So tonight was to show you what it is you'll be getting, and so that you'll understand how we got from point A to what you'll be seeing tomorrow.
Got it.
They'll also all be posted on our website. Is that correct, Meredith? We're doing that?
Yeah, the website will take a little doing. We're working on that, but everybody will receive the documents themselves tomorrow.
So you'll
Beautiful.
receive the detailed 5
You-
sections, paragraphs, and you'll receive the Camoan report and the LWRP report.
Right, the implementation plan, not yet, and the introduction, not just yet, but the others, as you mentioned, will come tomorrow.
Are we supposed to be prioritizing things of what we'd like to have done first, second, third? Or is, I always say with these reports, you have all this giant ideas of what is good and what has come out of our efforts from 3 years ago. It's hard to believe it's 3 years ago. But I always worry about that we're going to be talking about this endlessly and that we won't even take the first minimal steps to actually do something, like put a sidewalk in from the village up to the shopping centers. Things that, the minimal things that could be done, and they could be done quickly, as opposed to looking at the grand scheme of this and this giant wish list and not really getting much done.
I think that's part of what the implementation plan does. So there'll be the implementation part of this, which will take what the vision is, and it will set forth what the goal is, like who would be responsible for the goal, and what we need to do to reach that goal. And so I think there's going to be big parts of the implementation plan and big wishes, and little parts of the implementation plan and little wishes, like a sidewalk, as opposed to a building, but other parts include zoning changes, things that can be done right away, so that when someone comes before the village and wants to do something, we have zoning changes in place that will help that. But I think that what you see the implementation plan, then prioritizing things will come in with what we can do, what we can afford to do, and what we would like to do. So I don't know if anybody else has any comment on how that would work.
The only thing I would say, and to Linda's point, and the slides went by pretty quick. Obviously, people from the planning board and the committee haven't seen the work thus far, but I saw columns for feasibility and then economic feasibility, and I would assume, and I agree with Linda, that we prioritize some of these, some of these goals, and obviously they'll fall into categories based upon their feasibility. We may have, may have to get over some hurdles, and then there's always the economics, but
Right.
I'm sure that's the plan. One other question. I heard you say that it would obviously be released to the public. What's the plan? Is the plan that this group will have it for a period and then it'll go public, that what goes to the public will incorporate some of our thoughts? Or is it going to the public without our thoughts being taken into account?
So one of the things that Tiffany and I discussed earlier was the timing of everything, and ultimately the board will have to, decide on that. So you obviously will get it now. Tiffany, I think we talked about in a couple of weeks, getting everything out to the public after the folks here have had a chance to take a look at the documents.
I just wanted to remind everyone, again, substantively, nothing has changed in the document, right? This is all the same stuff. We didn't do that piece, right? That Pat Cleary did and all of your work did. So it's all there. I think that I agree. I think that the planning board should now take a look at everything and offer their thoughts. The goals, as much as I think the way to review this right now, though, is not how to prioritize anything, right? It's more so, are these the goals that reflect your vision for the next 10 years, right? And then do those objectives underneath describe that goal? The prioritization and things like, and where we're getting at and where I think you're heading is that implementation matrix. But for now, the focus for everybody should really be, again, do those goal areas resonate with all of you? Or is there a large goal that we are missing at this point?
Yeah, I think it would be, from a 10,000 foot view, and it would really be, for me, looking at some of the suggested, paths that we're going to take and thinking about ideas and big ideas rather than, drilling down to specific feasibility or priority. But I think we want an opportunity at least to go through it.
Well, I think,
and see what
sorry, I didn't.
No, go ahead. Go ahead.
I think to answer your question, yes, you will be getting a draft of all these documents tomorrow.
Right.
To look at. The Camoan report, there's a draft of it that's actually already on the website because we had them do a presentation some time ago. But you'll be getting a draft of all these documents tomorrow, and you'll have the opportunity to come back and give comments and questions on them. And then Tiffany's raising her hand.
I just want to remind everyone, though, so that you don't create too much homework for yourself. I mean, unless you really enjoy land use as much as I do, but even I can get, I have my limits too. The Camoan report and the Sawmill Revitalization Plan, feel free to read it. But the goal here was to integrate all of that into your comp plan.
Right.
So again, you should be able to read your comp plan and review my slides, which I will send to Meredith, because the document all of you have doesn't have all those pretty check marks, so you can navigate back and forth. I'm sorry that it doesn't. Look through this and you should have essentially everything in one place right now.
Right, but they don't have the documents that we've received.
No, I know.
Okay.
I'm just telling them
Okay.
so they don't go reading everything if they didn't want to, that it's all
Tiffany,
there.
we're not imagining that this is our last chance. This
Correct.
is just an opportunity to look at it with an overview. We've all, some of us obviously part of the committee, and then on the planning board, we have thoughts. Susan's on the call, and I see Paul joined. So we all have some background, some experience. And so just to see sort of what ideas were being developed, we were all part of the Cleary piece. But Cleary sort of did a lot of, I don't want to say some fact checking, and then some trying to get a sense of what people were most concerned about. And, for one half of the room it was traffic, and for the other half of the room it was please no more apartments because the school can't accommodate the students, right? So we're really looking for the opportunity just initially to look at it and see really what the value added, what you've done with the Cleary information. And perhaps we'll have something to add, but we expect, like the public, that we'll get an opportunity to look at this in more detail. So
Yeah.
I was just looking for some interim period when we might take a look. That's it.
Yeah, no, that's perfect. I think that's exactly what we have in mind, and that's we're glad to have that. And then I think after that, review, and is going to be, as Meredith was hinting towards, as we move into October, is trying to launch and put all of this up in some way and up online for your community to begin to, again, it's a draft, so people can do the same thing that everyone here on this call is doing. So great, that's great. Thank you.
I also want to say that for one, I think this was the logical next step, and I'm very happy to hear that it seems that it'll be very digestible and very accessible to the common person. So that was like the big sort of piece that was missing after the steering committee piece. And yes, it did take a long time, but I'm seeing the sort of the putting together of ideas to make it more understandable. So hopefully, my question also was, are we getting hard copies or PDFs?
The plan was, unless someone wants a hard copy, the plan was PDF.
How many pages is this document?
I have, Jessica, how many when you finally print it? It's like, yeah, it's like.
We could print it ourselves without like busting.
Oh no, yes. The point was that people can print and read it. That's the task at the end.
Not counting the LWRP and the Camoin report. Those are obviously.
Understand that, yeah.
Okay.
Right, it's this document.
Great.
So this is, this is the build part of the document. So it's very concise. It brings together all of the ideas here. That's pretty pictures in it yet, though.
That said, if someone wants a hard copy, just, give the office a call and we'll make sure you get that.
That's a good point, Mayor, you just raised. I think I said it, but I just want to say it one more time too, is as you guys get closer to this finalization too, and the documents gone through SECRA, and during the SECRA process, this will also go through a graphic design process. So what you're seeing is not exactly right. It's just so that you guys can all look at it and edit it, but there will be a graphic design component. So it makes it even more fun, I guess, to read.
That presents possibilities.
Yes.
It will show the now and what maybe could be possibilities. So none of what you'll be getting now has that in it, just so that people don't expect that part of it. Now, if you go and look at the Camoin document, you might see, and that document is available, you will see some of that.
Mhm.
But again, as Tiffany said, that is all going to be incorporated into the final comprehensive plan. So I know it's taken a long time. I know it's taken 3 years. We actually only thought this was going to take a year. But I again want to thank the steering committee, because I think that a lot of what you'll see, all of what you'll see is really your thoughts and comments and feelings that were provided during the charrettes that you did for those many months. Yes, you'll see things in here, Rob. You'll see that people are concerned about the housing. And people are concerned about the parking. And in fact, you will see things in here that talks about, housing as it impacts the school district versus housing for people who don't want to own homes anymore and may want to stay in the area. So those were kinds of thoughts that went on, and that we've talked about dealing as we move through this entire process. I want to thank PACE, because they have done an enormous job here of taking all of the pieces that were part of the document ultimately provided by Pat Cleary, which was a big document and sometimes very hard to read, and teasing out from that document the pieces and the overlap and the repetitiveness to digest it down into a usable, readable document that we can live with for 10 years. And I think that's the ultimate goal here. So if you remember what it is that you saw initially, it was lots of pieces that really needed to be brought together. And I think that PACE has really, really done that for us. And I think that it's going to be a very helpful vision for us. And obviously, me, like everyone else, we want to take care of all those problems tomorrow. But, if we don't have a plan, we're not going to start anything. So we have to start with a plan, because that will give us our vision for the future. Envision what we can be. Anybody else have any questions? Comments? I look forward to hearing your questions and comments when you see this document. Meredith will send them out tomorrow to all of you.
Are we having another Zoom meeting then in a week, 2 weeks, month?
Well, how do you want to present questions, Tiffany? Do you want people to email questions to Meredith? Do you want people to email questions to you, Meredith? How should we handle that?
I think if they send them to me, at least we have record of them, and then I can forward them on to Tiffany.
Okay.
And we'll have that as part of the, as Tiffany mentioned earlier, there'll be a public record type of piece to all of this. And so we would have all those comments.
Okay.
And we can see, if you have 3,000 comments, then maybe we need to sort of take a step back and have another meeting. If there are a handful of similar comments, then, maybe that's a different direction. I think it might be, I think we're a bit flexible on that, or could be a bit flexible on that. So if they send the comments, I'll copy the board as well. And then we can figure out how best to proceed based on what all the questions were and all the comments.
I would say that we should try to do this faster than slower. If we could have it, and at the maximum, everybody get to read it within the next, let's say, 2 weeks, or even a week, It's how many pages?
I think at most it's like, Jess, it's funny, not the whole thing we printed out 20,
20 pages. Okay.
a little bit more. Does anyone want to correct me on my team? I think
Oh,
that.
I mean, the thing is that since this has been going on for such a long time, I feel like if we have some kind of momentum and we could read it in a week or 10 days or 2 weeks tops, then we could at least, come up with the questions, get some answers to them, get them incorporated into this thing, and then come up with a list of, what we want to do, and not have this report be an end in itself. And that's what I worry about, is that we'll come out and say, look at this wonderful report that we did. We did this whole thing. Okay, next. And that worries me no end, because, I like to get things done.
Linda, I just have to respond to that because I hear what you're saying. I have the other concern knowing this board, and I feel like the wheels are going to be spinning up, immediately upon hitting the concrete. So I'm personally a little concerned that we're going to be on fast forward and we'll be struggling to keep up with what the board wants us to do. So I don't know, maybe there'll be a happy medium in there somewhere.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, I just would say that, our frustration with this process has been, how long it has taken to get to this point and to have a final report. Our goal was not to have a report. Our goal was to make progress for the village. Yeah. And so, we've been feeling like we've been held back until we have the direction that we're going. So, now that we're at this place and we have a vision for going forward, that's what we've been waiting for. That's what we want to do. So,
so what's the time frame then?
So you'll get the document tomorrow. You can review the document. Any questions that you have, send them off to Meredith. If there's a lot of questions, and that includes everyone that's on this call, if there's a lot of questions, maybe we'll need to have another Zoom meeting like this to go over it again. If there are a few questions and that could be integrated into it, then we'll integrate it into it, and then we'll send it out again. And then at that time, it will go out to the public. But if you want to have, a specific one-on-one, we can do that too, for anybody. And what the objective is that by October 31st, this draft plan will have gone out to the public and comments will have been back. And it will be finalized, and then we go into the secret process and the graphic design process that brings in all the pictures and everything. Isn't that our timetable? I mean, yeah. we are aiming to have this approved and finalized in our December meeting. Okay, we have to do that because Evan Yeager, who has been very instrumental in pushing this forward and really helping the wheels turn on this, because about a year ago, he said to me, I need a really big project. And I said, here it is. And he's really worked with Pace and Meredith in moving this forward. And Evan will be leaving our board in this next election go around. He has chosen to not run again. And so I think as a board president to Evan, this should be finished before he leaves. And that is the ultimate game.
I would love that. That would provide a bit of closure. That would be nice.
So that is our goal. Our goal is to, in December, have a final adoption of a comprehensive plan that has taken us 3 years to get here. And listen, Linda, there is nobody more frustrated by this process than this board. it has been more frustrating than we would like to even share with you, because there were times when pulling my molars out was easier as far as I was concerned. And so we really, really want to finalize it, and we really, really want to take steps that we can take to start the process.
Yeah. Okay, well, good.
Anybody else? Are we all set?
Mhm.
Well, you'll all get this document tomorrow. I think that you'll enjoy reading it. You know, Tiffany, I know you love land use, but I think you're going to make everyone else love land use by your document here. We have a lot of great people who.
A high bar. That's a very high bar. You really.
If you come
You're
back
organizing-
and
Come on, Rob, you're
You're
gonna love land use. How long have you been on the planning board? You gotta love something
Too
there.
long. I love it all.
Not too long, not too
Big
long.
ideas. Okay.
So we have some good ideas. So I want to thank everyone for joining us tonight. I want to thank Pace. I want to thank Kevin, who was here to answer questions, but he did the LWRP piece. I think that we are really going to have a good product, and I'm very excited to be part of this. And I hope you all think so too.
Good.
thank you all very much for your work. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Good night,
you.
everyone.
Thanks, Nancy.
Good night.
Right, thank you.